So if you or someone you know suffers from lower back pain, then this video might actually help you out. I'm going to be talking about something called the QL claw, which is a new innovation designed to help people with lower back problems. So stay where you are to find out what it's all about. I injured my back not too long ago. It was a disc bulge injury brought on from overuse and overexertion. For those that don't know, a disc bulge, or what many people call a slip disc, is when the spongy discs which lay in between the harder bones of the spine become compressed, and that compression basically causes the spongy disc to spill out. The spongy bit or disc, once it spills out of position, can then press against the sciatic nerve, which then causes even more discomfort because that sciatic nerve runs all the way down your leg, and so in turn you lose a lot of flexibility because you feel discomfort whenever you bend your leg or try and move around as you would normally. If you've heard of or know anybody that has a condition called sciatica, then this is exactly what they're going through. My problem reached a head one day while I was working out. I went to lift a weight and I felt something just wasn't right. After seeing a physio and getting an MRI scan done on my lower back, I was told that it was a disc bulge injury. I was also told that the injury was a kind of ticking time bomb. At the time I worked an office job, so I would sit down slouched in an office chair for most of the day, and at the time I also drove a car that had a seating position that wasn't the best for a guy of my height. And to cap it all off, I didn't work on my flexibility enough or strengthen certain muscles in my lower back. During my worst times, I'd spend a lot of time Googling solutions and looking at videos on YouTube to help me alleviate the pain of sciatica and to help the situation I was in. The one recurring thing that came up was the Quadratus Lumborum muscle, or the QL muscle, which is a muscle found deep in the back and plays a really big role in lower back pain. I began stretching that area amongst other things and doing routines that strengthened and released the QL muscle. I'd sometimes take a tennis ball and spend maybe 10 to 20 minutes just laying on it. That would really give me some much needed relief. Sometimes I'd use a foam roller too. Now I'll say right now that I'm over the worst time of the injury. I've since seen a physiotherapist and had an MRI scan done and done a whole bunch of therapy on the area, and my back situation is a lot better now. But I still make sure that I keep my lower back area loose, so I still foam roll the area and stretch it in the mornings first thing, and especially after I've done a workout. So fast forward to today, and I was contacted by Back Muscle Solutions, and they asked if I'd like to try out their device called the QL claw. This device is specifically made to target the QL muscle to give release of tension in that area, something that plagued me for a while, especially due to the fact that I was in a job where I would sit down for very long periods of time. So I said to them, I'll try this out and share my findings with you guys, as it's a tool that could actually make my life easier and maybe yours too. The problem I find is that there really aren't many tools specifically designed to target the QL muscle. I'll admit, using a tennis ball and the foam roller does give me some relief, but the roundness of the tennis ball and the lacrosse ball doesn't really hit that spot well enough. I would have liked to try something with a little bit more, let's say, sharpness to it that really digs in. You're all gonna think I'm crazy, and don't try this at home, but at my worst time with this injury, I actually did improvise once by using the base of an empty wine bottle to roll my back on, if that makes sense. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend it because glass can of course break, but you know how it is when you're in these situations, you just have to improvise. I just needed something with more of an edge to it that the lacrosse and the tennis ball and the foam roller just wasn't giving to me. So this QL claw, when I first looked at it and the demo videos on their website, looks like it's going to go a bit further than the tennis ball and the lacrosse ball did. It looks like it has what I needed at the time. You can use it on the glute muscles and the hip flexors too, which are two muscle groups that can cause lower back pain as well. It's quite a simple tool to use, no real skill involved, and it is quite effective. I see it more as something that I would have at home and use daily because it hit the spot really well, and I've not come across anything that worked as well for targeting the deeper muscles of my lower back. The only other tool I could compare this to that I have actually used is the psoas. If you've never heard of it, the psoas is a plastic tool of similar size that does hit the hip flexors or the psoas muscles really well. I bought this because I did watch a video that said that lower back pain can be alleviated a lot by releasing the hip flexor muscles, so I've still got my psoas and I do use it from time to time. This is the only tool that I could maybe compare this QL claw to. The only thing with the psoas is that it doesn't hit the glute or the lower back muscles anywhere near as good as the QL claw does. So do try and say that you can use the psoas on your glute muscles and your lower back, but it doesn't really feel like it hits the spot very well at all. Using the QL claw was pretty nice. The extra hard connection or the edge that I needed that led me to use the wine bottle, this really gives you that. I think it's a tool that will help a lot of people. The first time using it, it did feel a bit uncomfortable and I had to go slow and ease myself into it. If you're more used to using a tennis ball, then it will take you a little bit more getting used to, but after the first day, I was comfortable laying on it for a really long time. It's also good for targeting your glute muscles. It can be be beneficial to use something like this over a flat roller because this will hit the deeper muscles way more efficiently. You can of course use a foam roller that has nodules on it, and there are some really good foam ones out there, but for something that requires minimal movement and ease of use, I think the QL Claw is a really helpful tool. One other thing I think worth mentioning that isn't mentioned on their site is that for larger people who may have trouble reaching that spot with a lacrosse or a tennis ball or even a foam roller, a tool like this might actually be more useful to you, as that spot is quite deep in the lower back. You just lay on it until you find the spot, and then you do some light movements to help release the tightness. It's really all about finding the right spot and just going slow more than anything else with this. So that was my quick review of the QL Claw. If you think something like this could help you or a loved one, do share this video with them. I'll put a link in the description to their website if you want to check this out further. So as usual, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.